Good afternoon. Good afternoon from the Red Mic. I am trying something new. I am streaming live simultaneously on two different platforms. I am both on Facebook and I am also on YouTube. Decided to try this because yesterday, even though I've been going live on Facebook for quite a while, all in Facebook said that my channel is no longer qualified. So I figured, let's you know experiment. So went live on YouTube yesterday, but I figured a workaround on Facebook. I found out I could go live on one of my older pages, but cross post to the Red Mic page. So we'll see how that works out, and we'll also see if this is too lumpy and bumpy for me to do moving forward without having some sort of stream aggregator that'll do it for me. But I click two buttons. Hopefully, it's all going to work out. So, um, again, good afternoon from the Red Mic. This is your first time here. These weekday messages are leadership and life lessons that I've picked up from my life as a public servant, youth sports coach, scouting volunteer, and, as I've said before, a mediocre athlete with more heart than physical ability. Today, I'm going to be talking about lessons that I've learned from drawing on the dark side. Yeah, embracing the anger, but trying to do it in a, oddly enough, a constructive kind of way. But before I get into that, first a shout out to my fraternity brother Jake Clements. He is the founder and host of the Texas Whiskey Festival. They're having their seventh whiskey festival this weekend. They, technically, it's not Austin, but Austin, Texas. It's actually just west of Austin. But look them up on Facebook at TX Whiskey Fest, all one word. And again, today, lessons learned from drawing on the dark side, constructive uses of anger. When I was a player, it was one year that in the Boys Club League, we had a weight limit. And the weight limit was, 85 pounds. So, that's quite a bit of way to go. And you had to make it at the beginning of the season, then you never had to make it again the rest of the season. Unlike Pop Warner that weighs you every week, the boys club back then anyway, and I don't know what they do now because I haven't coached in boys club for a long time. They would weigh you at the beginning of the season, and make it once, you're good. And then they would do subsequent weigh-ins 2-3 weeks into the season, and that was for kids who didn't make it the first time around or even the second time around. Well, my last year playing on the lower level football, it was grouped by age. You had American League, National League. National League was the older kids. My last year playing American League that had the weight limit of 85, I missed weight the first week. Missed weight the second week. So the third week I finally made it. And I was the starting center. I was the starting center, starting nose guard, or in another defense we ran, I was the starting middle linebacker. Notice it's all right in the middle of the field where I didn't have to move a whole lot because they knew I was slow. But but I'm starting center. We get the ball. We're going to start the game off. And the coach calls the offense over, and he says, "Yeah, not so fast, Pat." They call me Pat growing up. I go by Patrick now. "Not so fast, Pat. So-and-so's been starting the last two games. We're going to keep him in there this week." I, was apoplectic internally. I didn't let the coach know I was irritated or upset, but he also held me out the first defensive series. So I'm on the sideline, yelling, screaming, cheering, the whole bit, just like I've been doing the couple of weeks before. But inside, I am just fit to be tied. Well, the next time we got the ball back, he put me in, and I run out there like my hair is on fire. I get up there, first play, and again, we're all we're all within the same weight parameters, but I was just so angry and jacked up that whole series, I was unstoppable. In fact, the first play they ran was right up the gut, right over me, and I made a huge hole. We got like 10, 15 yards. I don't remember what it was. But that whole game, I was just, you're going to hold me out? Fine. I'm going to prove it to you. And I was just out there just crazy, right? So that was a positive use of the anger. Found out at the end of the season that he did that on purpose because I had a reputation of not being I didn't practice hard because generally I was usually, well, until I got into, middle school and high school, I was one of the bigger kids on the team. And I didn't like going hard against my friends. I didn't want to hurt them. Well, I didn't have it in my head yet that you got to, practice hard. Otherwise, you're not going to play hard. So he held me out purposely because he figured it would make me mad and I would end up playing better. And I did. So there was that. Let's fast forward to high school, where I picked up my high school nickname. Um, there was a movie out about a rabid dog. I'll let you fill this in your head anyway while I tell the story. And there was a player on our team gave me a cheap shot. I don't even remember the particulars, but he gave me a cheap shot and it just really hacked me off. I was just angry. Well, next play I get up and I just knock him over. He gets up and says, "What are you, rabbit or something?" Well, another guy on the team, guy named James Velasquez. James was a great guy. Miss him dearly. He passed a few years back, but he yelled, "He's Cujo!" So this was my sophomore year. Rest of my high school career, I got stuck with the name Cujo. To this day, if I go to Wichita Falls, I will, be at the mall or out, wherever, and if somebody from that era of my life sees me, I'll hear from across the room, "Cujo!" And I went to, every high school reunion, I'll walk in the door and somebody will say, "Cujo!" And this was, again, for a mediocre athlete with more heart than physical ability. So there's, those are a couple of instances where I used my anger to a positive effect. The one, it was a great game. And then the next one, it was, leveling the kid that I felt like had done me wrong. Now let's fast forward to a professional setting. I don't have a reputation of being a yeller or a door slammer or I tend to I try to lead with compassion. I try to lead as I would like to be led. Had a situation at, I'm not going to say where, I'm not going to say who, but at an agency where we had a person working for me who they just wouldn't do we had a series of things that had to be done on these particular reports, and they just were not doing it the way it needed to be done. So because of that, it was causing a bottleneck. All of our paperwork was backing up. They weren't getting it done in a timely manner, and it was making our department look bad. It was making me look bad. But more than that, it was not fair or convenient for our stakeholders, for the people that we were regulating or their customers. So I'd finally had enough. And I also like to be the kind of person who gives praise in public and correction privately. Well, in this case, I was done. I went into their workspace. Some people call them cubicles. I don't like cubicles. I don't like the name cubicle. I like workspace. Went to her workspace and I just said, "Okay, you're going to do it this way. I am tired of you not doing this. Do this, do this, do this." And I went through the steps. By the way, my dogs just came in the room, so I apologize if they make noise. So I go through all of the steps with her, and I said, "And start doing it that way, or we are going to have a hard conversation." And I turned around and I went back to my office, and then on purpose, I slammed the door very loudly. Now, the place we were in, the office suite we were down in one end of the building. Then there was a long hallway with glass doors on each end. And then on the other end of the building was where our executive director was and some other related offices. Well, my executive director, a couple minutes later, comes walking down and says, "Patrick, what was that noise? It sounded like something exploded in here." And I was like, "Oh." And I told him what the deal was. And he was like, that's not your style. I said, no, I did it on purpose. And he was like, all right, well, let me know how it works. Well, it worked just fine. She ended up doing everything she was supposed to do. Never had another peep out of her in a bad way. In fact, ended up being one of my better employees. Now, the lesson could have been that, slamming the door was the right thing to do. Could have been, hey, you need to act this way moving forward. In that case, I chose to draw on the dark side, but I didn't get consumed by it. Um, those are the lessons I hope you take from today. Use your anger, but use it in such a way that it doesn't consume you. It doesn't become who you are. It's just a tool. And that's today's Red Mike message. I hope you found it helpful, or at the very least entertaining. I live stream these messages every weekday at 2:30 Central. You can watch them anytime on Facebook or YouTube, and soon on Instagram. I also try to post them on LinkedIn, so you can find them just about anywhere. Wherever you run into them, I would appreciate a like, a follow, and a share. You have a good weekend, and I'll see you all on Monday.